Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with a brief little tutorial on how to use transfer settlements to put my Red Rocket build into your game. This is something I'm not going to offer for all of my settlements, but there are a couple loud voices who asked for this after my last tour, and well, I was feeling charitable. So I've spent more hours than anticipated kicking over some cans, finding some bugs, and squashing them as I could. It's a pretty big settlement, so the process is a little bit involved. So this is a save that I've loaded up that is, an hour or two old in terms of the character itself, and so this is as vanilla Red Rocket as you can get, including some mole rat holes. So you'll notice all this junk and foliage and stuff that is probably quite familiar, but if you watched my tour of my Red Rocket build, none of this stuff was here. So instead of giving you an import script to run and import stuff over top of all of this, and then having foliage and stuff sticking up through the floorboards, I made a little script that will remove all of those things instantaneously. So if you followed the instructions on the Nexus page for this, there is a command that you need to run in the console before you run your import. That is bat Donald Strong Red Rocket, and this will target all of the things that conflict spatially with things that I've built in my Red Rocket settlement. And suddenly they're all gone. And suddenly Red Rocket is fairly clean. So you might, when you run this on your own, see some errors pop up in the console. Don't worry about this. That is not going to cause any problems. There are some remnants of something doesn't matter. Technical crap. I don't even remember. So at this point, you can, I believe, run your import. And I'm filming this before I've uploaded the thing to the Nexus, so this process might not be exactly the same. What might change from what you see here is there might be a little installer when you download the file from the Nexus that helps you figure out exactly which file you want, which transfer settlements blueprint spot there are. See, there's 1 out of 50 or so. And just so that when you download this, it doesn't conflict with any that you might already have taking slot 50 or whichever, I might add a little thing so you can choose which slot to take, so you don't overwrite any other transfer settlement blueprints you might have. So before I get to starting the import, I just wanted to go over general settings. If you have any problems on import, I recommend turning most of this stuff off. My own personal preference is to set it to rapid or stable. Rapid turns everything off, with the exception of multi-threaded script execution. A lot of the stuff is animations and other things that are not expressly necessary. And I don't do this for every import or export I do, but this is a big settlement, and so I just prefer not to take any chances because it takes a while to import and export it. So these are my recommended settings. You can use your own discretion at your own peril. And as far as importing a settlement, this is the one you will pick. It might not be in spot 50, But since I just did some last-minute bug testing, I'm actually going to pick this one. This is the latest one. It'll be named this, so ignore the name for now. A little less than 2,000 items, a little less than 2,000 mods, and we're there at the settings screen. You, I don't think, need to import the original items, as well, this depends. So if you are starting with a fresh save, like in this video, you should be okay. If you, however, have built a whole bunch at your own Red Rocket and decide you want to scrap it all and just use mine, well, I'm very flattered, thank you. And you might actually want to check this box, just in case you've got a scrapping mod and you remove stuff that is in the vanilla Red Rocket and is used by this build. So when in doubt, maybe keep that one checked if you've done some building. If you haven't done any building, you don't need to worry about it. So for the purposes of this how-to, don't worry about it. DLC items, mod added items, those are key. Also pretty key, and this might be a slight pain depending on how long it takes you to load your settlement building mode. There are a couple marker based items. These are effects and things like that in the build, and when you enable this, it basically you'll start the import and it'll switch you to workshop mode so that those markers can be placed, and you'll need to leave workshop mode open for the entirety of the import. Yes, do the thing. Thank you. Definitely import wired power connections and all this good stuff. There is one Sim Settlements plot. If you happen to be using that mod, it just adds a little flavor to the junkyard area of this build. So I would just import Sim Settlements buildings and upgrades. It's a level 1 industrial plot, if you care about that sort of thing. So it might not get automatically assigned when you have a settler there, so if not, just once it's imported and everything is set up properly, just assign somebody there and they will be working in the junkyard. As we said before, if you've built here previously, this option might be for you to nuke stuff. If you have more than a few things and you don't want to manually remove everything, you might want to nuke. But since I have nothing for this import, I'm just going to go ahead and start. There we have it, folks. So, settlement import complete. Now, you're going to want to pay attention to this message. It's an easy dialog box to skip through. This is pretty standard. If you haven't imported a whole lot of things using transfer settlements, you want to travel away immediately after this is done without changing anything, and then travel back after a little while. So you might notice that there's some things flickering, and that's because not everything is sort of solidified. So let's get the hell out of here and come back when the Play-Doh is dry. Alright, here we are, not at Red Rocket, and just fast travel a couple more times. Go to Starlight. I don't know why my character keeps on drinking that Nuka-Cola. Seems like a wee bug. It's a wee bug. That's your fault, dog. Dogmeat has shortened his name to just Dog. Alright, here we are at also not Red Rocket. So let's go back to... well... yeah, you just keep drinking that thing, you buggy little avatar. Just gonna sleep, just in case that makes a difference. A little bit more too. Then we're gonna run over to Red Rocket. By run, I mean not run. We're gonna do this. It's almost like this game is loading a really large settlement. Alright. Gonna assume that everything is good now. Everything looks good. Everything looks sexy as hell. Though foggy and somewhat less populated by atom cats than I remember.
Empty. Quiet. Boring.
It's like we found some things that did not quite go as planned. So, looks like these vanilla trucks, which were part of the original build, did not go peacefully into this good build. They were originally here, somewhere, stacked upon one another, and I don't know if you caught it in the sped up import earlier, but they decided, stop that, using place everywhere to remove physics from things. They decided to just launch themselves as other things were getting imported. That doesn't always happen. I've run a couple of imports where they were fine. So if this place is full of errant truck, you can just, you know, move them around, do whatever I did, or get rid of them entirely, scrap them, and replace them with something over here, if you like. This is a really big build, and I went quite a bit over the vanilla budget, so unless you're using a mod or some console commands to up your budget, building here might be prohibitive. Prohibited something. So, I might release an undecorated, unfurnished version of this with just the buildings so you can decorate them. Maybe, if I feel like putting some more work into this. But this is not sort of in my normal wheelhouse, so don't take my word for that. You'll notice as I run around there's one last thing to do here, and this is pretty key. Everything is wired up. All of the wires are in the right place, although that vine looks goofy as hell. So I'm gonna pretend like I didn't make that mistake by moving that. I'll just put that back up there somewhere. I don't know. That looks better, right? Right, so these things are not powered. Pretty much everything except for right over here is not powered, and that is because of a weird little bug with these conduits. These are pass-through conduits belonging to the wall pass-through conduit mod, and for some reason they just need to be reset, and so to do that you just pick them up and then cancel that move. There's only a couple of these, so you only have to do this a few times, but now the spiffy car wash is powered up. These guys still are not. So there is one more in here, on this side. Oh, suddenly this guy's on. Should be the case. Everything, oh my god. No, I can't monetize my video. Thank you, radio, newly imported. Whatever, I'm not gonna monetize this. So, where are you? Right, this guy is not powered yet. So let's Make sure that this pass-through conduit has been properly selected. Go to hell, you evil wire. There we go. And just, again, select and then cancel that selection so it reverts back to its original place. You can also more easily select the switch that should attach. The door is still not open. And probably the easiest way to reset that one is by selecting this guy up here. And then canceling. Bam! Now your entire fancy new, sexy as hell red rocket should be full of juice. That switch, by the way, is just something that turns off this entire spare garage in terms of power in the garage door. I don't really use it, it's just for decoration and whatnot. And that's mostly it. You'll notice, if you're looking up at the top of the screen, this settlement, due to the car wash being present, is pretty heavy on the water side. I'll show you what I mean. So there's a big old water pump over here, advanced water purifier, assuming you installed it with that mod, which I believe is passive water resources. And that generates a whole bunch of water. There's also a secondary mod that I installed just because it seemed appropriate, the fire hydrant water resources. So that takes us up to 70 something water. There's also this guy here, underground water tank, for when it rains. You want to store even more water. So I didn't really do that on purpose, it just seemed like those were the appropriate things to place in a place like this. So this is a very water heavy settlement, and if you're into things being properly supplied, you will want to make Sanctuary or somewhere else connected with a supply route and Provisioner food heavy so that these guys can eat, because there is no food here because the Atom Cats ain't farmers, yo. In fact, the only food I think in the settlement is this little tree growing out of a tire. I encourage you not to assign an Atom Cat to farm that. That would be a breach of contract. Zeke might fire them? I don't know. Something bad. That's it. Should be able to fit about 20 Atom Cats in here. And I wish you luck. I'm uploading this to the Nexus as is. I'm not really going to be on hand for much in the way of troubleshooting. Because this ain't what I want to spend my time on. And I'm lazy, and I don't have any other excuses, but the last one was definitely a big one. Shut up, dog, don't judge me.
You like my game, human? Having fun?